Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review, little demo-y tutorial sort of thing, and some swatches of the latest release by Natasha Denona, which is her Love collection, which was specifically released to coincide with Valentine's Day. And the main parts of the collection were an eyeshadow palette as well as a cheek palette. I believe there were some gloss balm thingies as well, but I wasn't really interested in getting them. Now, I'll be very honest with you guys, this is the first time I've ever actually bought anything from Natasha Denona. For those of you that have followed me for a long time, you will know that I have never reviewed anything, and therefore I'm not lying. A lot of the times it's been the price that has put me off her products. I mean, her larger eyeshadow palettes are what, like £120 or something, and I'm like, can I really justify spending that amount of money on an eyeshadow palette? Now, I've always heard very, very good things, very complimentary things about the brand, so I was a little bit apprehensive as well as excited to try out her eyeshadow palettes and her eyeshadows, the texture, the quality, etc. for the first time. Now, first off, let me just show you, they came in just these two kind of glossy, shiny looking cardboard boxes. And then this is what the eyeshadow palette looks like, and then this is what the cheek palette itself looks like. So the eyeshadow palette is very, very luxe feeling. You can see why this costs £60. A lot of money and thought and effort has been put into the actual packaging, and this is what the inside itself looks like. There are 15 eyeshadows altogether with a decent size mirror, and this is what the cheek palette looks like. I love it, I'm not gonna lie. I love these kind of glitter falling around like a type of snow globe-y kind of effect. I love it. Some people won't like it, but personally I love all things pink. And then you open up the palette, and inside there are 4 different types of products. It's a little bit messy, forgive me. And I like the fact that they've actually placed a cover over this area, because this is a cream blush, and for those of you that know what cream blushes are like, especially when they're in a palette with others, the powder can end up transferring onto that product and making it really messy and dirty. So again, really like that whole concept. Then there are 2 blushes, and then there is a highlighter. So like I said, this retails at £60, which is very, very pricey considering there are 15 eyeshadows. Before I start my review and let you know what my thoughts are, let me just read quickly what the description is from their website. Now, I actually bought mine from Feel Unique, and the reason I bought it specifically from them when there are loads of retailers selling it is because I actually had £20 worth of gift vouchers, so I was able to get £20 off this entire order, which, considering it's over £100 in combination, £20 makes a very, very big difference. So I'm just going to quickly read to you what it says direct from Natasha Denona's website, regardless of where I bought it from. Better it come from the horse's mouth, right? So it says, become infatuated with the captivatingly romantic Love palette by Natasha Denona. 15 brand new shades of Natasha's signature eyeshadow formula in pinks, mauves, purples, corals, silvery neutrals, rich burgundies, and fiery red that melt together in perfect harmony. This seductive palette can be used for playfully bold creations or effortlessly wearable everyday looks. Made with the highest quality pure color pigments, dazzling chroma crystals, and luminous mineral pearls for maximum color payoff with minimal effort. Shades and formulas were hand designed by world-renowned makeup artist Natasha Denona. Buttery smooth, hydrating eyeshadow formula wears beautifully on any skin type and skin tone. Paraben-free, cruelty-free, and made in Italy. So like I said, this is the first time I've ever tried a Natasha Denona eyeshadow, and I had very, very high expectations, especially because in my mind I am one of those people who's like, okay, so it costs so much money, therefore the quality of the product must be excellent, right? I think that the eyeshadow palette is okay. I don't think it's groundbreaking any kind of way. I don't think it's justified in £60 worth. Now, I know a lot of you are going to go to me, oh, but this palette is great. Oh, but that one is great. But that's not the point. And I understand your point of view, but that isn't the point in this instance. I would like to believe that no matter what collection I've bought from, the quality is consistent throughout. And if this is what the quality is like for this, then it kind of makes me think twice about buying any other eyeshadow palette, especially because they are so expensive. Now, the matte shades are excellent in quality. I do have to say that the texture is absolutely amazing. They blend beautifully, they blend effortlessly, they don't kick up too much powder. A little bit goes a really, really long way, and they are incredibly pigmented. The ones that let me down, unfortunately, are the other textures, the duochrome, the chromatic, whatever they're called. they're just not that intense. And I will compare them to brands like Huda Beauty and Anastasia Beverly Hills, who've really got those metallic shades down to a T. No matter whether they're duochrome, whether they're sparkly, whether they're pressed glitter, they have got them down perfectly. I don't feel that Natasha Denona has managed to do that with this Love palette. Now, what I found is, in terms of the shimmery shades, I have to layer them a lot. The one that I'm wearing right now on my lid, which is called Giving, which is like a sparkly pink, I can still see, if I looked really up close, like use the mirror, I can still see my natural eyelid shade underneath. Why is that? For something that is that good quality, that they've bigged it up that much, why can I still see my skin underneath? So it even says dazzling chroma crystals. What's that? Luminous mineral pearls for maximum color payoff. See, you've even said maximum color payoff. They do not give maximum color payoff. The matte shades do, but the other shades, not so much. Are definitely buttery in texture, don't get me wrong. The texture is very, very soft, and you have to be very, very careful in how you apply it. However, the metallic shades, while they are not bad, they're not great, and they're not what I would expect of a brand that has marketed itself as being such high quality, and it has therefore been reflected in the price. The price can't all just be because of the palette itself that is so high quality. It has to be reflected in the product too. Now, I've used every single one of these shimmery, chromatic, duochrome, whatever you want to call them shades, because they're all mixed up, and I'm just like, okay. Even if I use my finger, which generally tends to give a thicker, more pigmented amount and doesn't get sheared out like it does with a brush, it makes literally no difference whatsoever. I would personally give this palette a 8 out of 10. And that disappoints me considering it's £60. It's a very warm tone palette. It's a very romantic kind of palette. It's a very spring kind of palette. It's one that would definitely go with all skin tones. And quite a lot of people will love these shades, but there's a lot of very, very samey kind of pinky, different variations of pink, couple of purples thrown in there, and that's about it. There's nothing groundbreaking. There's no actual gold in here, which I would have actually liked to have. There isn't really anything that I can say is a highlighting brow bone shade or even a tear duct shade. I did struggle when doing my eyes because of the fact there isn't anything that is quite light in here, and considering I've got medium toned skin, I would have thought that at least some of these shades would be quite light, or I would be able to use it as a tear duct shade or a brow bone shade. No such luck with this. Alright, before we move on to the cheek palette, I'm just going to do some swatches against my medium toned skin so that you guys can see how they show up, what they look like. Generally, I'm very impressed. I actually would have given it a lower mark had it not been for the matte shades, which perform beautifully well, especially considering some of these shades are quite difficult in terms of the ones which are reddish kind of corally colors and purple ones which generally tend to show up quite patchy. These ones are quite buttery and very easy to blend, so I don't get that kind of patchiness. It is definitely the matte shades that have managed to save this palette for me. Altogether, there are 8 shimmery variation types of shades. I'm not going to break them all down because it's long. And then there are 7 matte shades. So there's a nice equal mix, which I do like, so that you can kind of switch it up quite a lot. You can definitely go between daytime looks, nighttime looks. You can wear it to school, you can wear it to college. Even though if you are in school, why are you spending £60 on an eyeshadow palette? Just saying. Okay, so this first shade here is called First. Unsurprisingly, First barely shows up on my skin tone. Here it is, because it is a pastel peach sort of colour. It's a matte shade. I basically just use this to set my primer and make sure there's no stickiness on my eyes so that the eyeshadows glide a lot more easily. This next shade here is called Lifetime. This one is a gorgeous metallic champagne-y peach colour. Really pigmented and beautiful. This next shade here is called Heartbeat. This one is a matte shade and a warm burgundy sort of colour. Unfortunately, I mean, the swatch don't lie. That's patchy, right? £60, you guys, £60. That should be perfect, but it ain't. This next shade here is called Transparent. This is another one of the metallic shades. It's like a nude, pinky, ivory sort of colour. Really nicely pigmented and buttery. This is what I've been using on my brow bone. This is the only shade that I can use on my brow bone. This shade here is called Trust. This one is a medium toned purple shade. This one is definitely a lot better than that one. You can see how patchy that one is in comparison to this one, which is a much cleaner swatch. Beautiful colour, very easy to blend and pigmented. This shade here is called Hot. This one is a matte red shade. Again, I actually quite like this shade. I think that they've done the best that they can do with this kind of colour, because this is the kind of shade which always is very, very difficult to pull off. It tends to run quite patchy and difficult to blend, but I actually found this one to be a lot more easier to blend than other red shades that I've come across. This shade here is called Giving. Giving is one of the duochrome sort of shades, and I'm not sure if you can see, but you can actually see my skin colour through it. This is the one I'm wearing on the lid. Now, it's a very pretty colour, but I think this is something that would work better as a topper, but on its own just doesn't work so well. It's a pink with like duochromy, peachy, purpley sort of shift to it. This next shade here is called Pure Love. This is another duochrome shade and actually performs a lot better than the previous one. I really like this colour. It's like a purple with pink shift and a bluey shift to it. It's gorgeous, easy to blend, and applies beautifully and is not sheer. This shade is called Commitment. This is an eggplant colour and it's almost got like a satin sort of texture. It's definitely not metallic. It's just a very dark, ugly kind of shade, not gonna lie. I don't think I'm ever gonna use this that much because it unfortunately is that kind of black eye kind of colour. So you got to be very careful when you use it. It's best to mix it with other shades. This last shade here is called Blind. Now this is a metallic silver shade, but it's definitely a warmer toned silver. I don't think personally silver colours should be warm. They should definitely be cool because it makes them stand out a lot more. Now I do like this colour and it's very pigmented, but it just didn't have that oomph that other silver shades have because of the fact that it's got a warm undertone to it. This shade here is called Soul. This is one of my favourite shades in the palette. It's like a neutral toned dusky pink colour. Very easy to blend, pigmented, and genuinely just lovely. This shade here is called Passion. This is another duochrome sort of shade. It's a wine colour with pink sparkles in it. Very beautiful and easy to blend and nicely pigmented. This shade here is called Intense. I really like this pink shade too. It's a warm toned kind of neutrally sort of pink colour. It's like a mix between neutral and warm, I would say, and it's easy to blend. It's matte, it's highly pigmented and works beautifully in the crease. This shade is called Valentine. Valentine is a classic baby pink colour. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, despite the fact that it's quite a light colour, against my skin tone, it shows up beautifully as a really soft transitional crease shade, and I love it. This shade here is called Dream. Alright, now while Dream is a beautiful kind of iris violet colour, it is one of the weirdest eyeshadows I've ever come across. It's very difficult to pick up on a brush. And when it does manage to pick up, it barely shows up on the lid. It's patchy. I have to layer it at least 5-6 times for any kind of colour to come off. And if any brush touches it in between, it rubs off. It's a really, really awful shade. Alright, so these are all 15 shades all together so that you can see them in conjunction with each other. Right, so that's it for the swatches of the palette. And by the way, stained. Remember, any eyeshadows which have got like a red or close to red or very purpley tend to stain the eyes, so be careful. And when removing it from your eyes, make sure that you use an oil-based makeup remover. Another thing that I had actually forgotten to say was, in particular, all the shadows which are metallic or shimmery or have any kind of shimmer, it transfers onto the rest of your face. You need to be really, really careful. Actually, you know what? It doesn't even matter because I'm genuinely a very careful person when it comes to applying makeup. I've been wearing it long enough to know how to apply it myself, but still particles of glitter ended up all around my eyes, on my nose, and lower down on my cheeks. So I had to brush it all off. It's really annoying, and also because what happens is you can't brush it all off properly. It actually blends into your skin, giving you shimmers on your face. So as you can see, that is another reason why I am not completely impressed by this eyeshadow palette. Now let's move on to the Love Glow cheek palette. I really like this. I like these kind of kitschy things. So this baby here, with 4 things inside it, £51. This is 60, 51. This is only a few pounds less. Like I've said already, I've never tried Natasha Denona cheek palettes or anything related to any of her products. So I again had very, very high hopes, you guys. So let down. Really. It's not great. I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. It's okay, but it's not something that I will ever repurchase, and I just don't think it's that good. Let me just read to you again what their claims are. Customize your glow, featuring her iconic glow formulas. I've never tried them, so I don't know what they are. Natasha presents a set of easy to use pro level blush and highlighting techniques with the new Love Cheek palette in Picture Perfect Pink. These lightweight but hydrating creams and powders allow you to achieve the ultimate in luminous luxury. So within this palette, you get a glow cream base, which is the cream blush. Then you get Super Glow diamond powder and a glow impact powder. So basically 2 shimmery blushes and a highlighter. Firstly, I've got medium toned skin, right? So the 2 blushes show up on my skin fairly well. But if you have got very deep skin, I would say that it would not work so well on you. Because both of these products have got a high amount of shine and shimmer, they're not matte blushes. Obviously, they're called Super Glow and Diamond Powder, so the name should really give it away. It shouldn't be a surprise to any of you. However, what happens is when I deposit those 2 shades on my cheeks, you can see the color. And then the shimmery particles, oh my god, they're everywhere. They're up on here on my highlighting area. They're down below where I contour. And it literally almost separates. Then when you go in with the highlighter above it, it's almost pointless. And what happens is also, because it's not a matte blush, somebody like me who's got textured skin, it accentuates the texture and it just makes me look genuinely horrid. And I just don't see how these are that great, to be honest. £51, I want it to be excellent, and I at least want the shimmers to stay with the blush and not transfer into other parts of my face. Then you've got the cream base. Again, I've got medium toned skin. It don't even show up on my skin tone. It barely shows up. I'll swatch these all in a minute and you'll see exactly what I mean. It's almost pointless to even use it. The highlighter is so-so. It's okay. I think it would work well more so on its own and if you haven't used the other blushes, because like I said, the shimmer that comes off of those 2 glowy, diamondy, whatever they're called, it literally interferes with you then applying the highlighter on top. It's a really nice warm champagne-y kind of colour that would definitely show up on fair, medium and deep skin tones. However, if you've got deep skin, you're not going to spend £51 in order to be able to just use 1 shade. Also, when I've used a blush brush to pick these 2 blushes up, I have to really dig my brush in. I've not had this blush palette that long. There's already a dent in it. I've used it twice. Why is there a dent in it? Because I've had to proper dig my brush in to actually see the product attached to the fibers. It's like it doesn't want to attach to the fibers. So that's another issue for me, because most people will use a normal blush brush or even a duo fiber brush. And even then it will be very difficult to pick up the actual product itself. And when you do and you apply it to your cheeks, you get all glitter and stuff all over the place and it just does not look great at all. Now with the highlighter, it's a lot more, it's quite a soft feeling, but it's not buttery. And personally, I would really not recommend this at all. I would recommend this more than I would recommend this. It's just not great. The colors are absolutely gorgeous, don't get me wrong. The blushes, the corally shade, the corally orange shade, and then the more pinky shade, beautiful colors. I think they would have looked amazing had they not had this kind of texture. If they'd been matte, they would have worked a lot better. And even as shimmery blushes, they would be fine if they didn't have all them sparkles and stuff inside it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swatch these. Yeah, it's great, you've got a little flap to cover it, but you know what, who cares? You know, who cares if the product's not that great? You don't really care what the packaging is like, right? So let's start off with the Glow Cream Base first. So this is described as a nude coral peach, which it is. But that is a very thick swatch I've applied on my hands, you guys. So all it's going to do is make your face look like there's something shiny on it, but not really show up. Medium skin tones, forget it. Deep skin tones, why even bother? Now let's move on to this one here, which is called the Super Glow. And I might add that despite the fact that they've got this, it would have made sense to just cover that. Because once I open it, that is going to stick onto that anyway, isn't it? Right, so this one is described as a bright coral champagne. Not sure how that's a champagne, but it's definitely a bright coral with a hint of pink in it. This one is a thick swatch, again, like I've shown you guys. It definitely doesn't have as much shimmers as the pink one, but still, regardless, it still emphasizes texture a lot and transfers shimmer into other places. Now let's move on to this one, which is the Diamond Powder. So this one is described as a light pink with champagne sparks. Well, we don't need those sparks, thank you. Or I'd like them sparks to keep in their own lane, but they don't. They transfer, they move. The colour's pretty and everything, but again, this is a thick swatch. It's not quite the same as it is as if you would apply it with a brush to your face. Then finally, the Glow Impact Powder, which is the highlighter over here. And this is a warm champagne colour. As you can see quite clearly, the blushes are actually more powerful than the highlighter, which doesn't really make sense. It should actually be the other way round. So the highlighter is almost invisible against the skin because the blush, which is transferred all over the place, is actually more dominant on the face because of the way that it applies. So that's the swatches of the cheek palette, and as you can see, I'm quite justified in giving it a 5 out of 10. It's not great. £51. I'm going to keep repeating it for those of you that are like, no. £51 is a lot of money to part with for something which is so-so. It's okay. It's definitely not a must-have. It's a big shame because the colours, to look at them in the palette, are absolutely gorgeous, but in reality they just do not perform the way that I would expect something this expensive to perform. It's just disappointed. So that's it. What else can I say, really? I mean, considering this is the first time I've ever tried Natasha Denona, and I just feel so kind of let down by both of these products. I mean, this is okay, but if I had known beforehand what this would be like, I probably would not have bought it. And this one, I definitely would not have bought it. I was just sucked into the whole Natasha Denona hype. £120, I doubt I will ever go out and spend on an eyeshadow palette, considering this is how a £60 one performs. So that's it for my review of the Natasha Denona Love collection. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you planning on getting it, or have you got it? Have I got it completely wrong? Is it just this palette that isn't that great, or do they actually all perform that way? Let me know below. Other than that, I hope you guys are wonderful and great, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.